So here I am, getting ready for bed. I start my first college class of the spring semester tomorrow, but I want to talk about a discussion I've seen between Jaguar Jones and the thevinerhyme. Specifically, I want to talk about what the thevinerhyme has said. Apparently, somewhere along the lines of this debate between the two, the thevinerhyme brought up the idea, the argument for the existence of God, that humans cannot imagine non-existent things. And hence, since we can imagine that a God exists, is proof that a God does exist. Now, to tackle this, I also want to deal with something else the thevinerhyme had talked about. It has to do with why the evolutionary process would have led to an animal that's capable of having beliefs, especially complex beliefs. Apparently, he feels that's an impossibility in regards to evolution. Of course, it's not. Any animal that has learned behavior develops beliefs. I have my cat here, who hates being held, but I want to hold her up, let you guys see her. She's pretty cute. I've had her since the day she was born. She was actually the first one to leave the whole birthing box where she was born and actually crawl out to my voice, so I had to kind of keep her for that. She's a smart cat. So even this cat, who obviously does not have the same mental capacities as human, has beliefs. She believes I will pet her, and she'll come up to me and give me a certain meow to indicate she wants to be petted, or her body language will tell me this. She believes that I will feed her, especially if she annoys me enough. She believes that I will let her out of the house for the same reason if she annoys me enough. So she's developed beliefs about my actions, and certainly she also has beliefs about other aspects of her environment, that she must be careful about, what she crawls through or this or that. So beliefs are not something that are unique to humans. Now, another aspect of human consciousness I want to talk about before I get on to how God is easily explained, the belief in a God is easily explained by evolutionary processes in humans, is symbolism, the ability to symbolize. The ability to symbolize allows us to deal with abstract concepts. Now, with our beliefs, which all learning animals can develop, humans, and not uniquely, have developed the ability to develop a symbolic concept and to use that to develop more abstract concepts about existence. Chimpanzees show this same ability, so do gorillas, orangutans, even some birds like the African gray parrot and possibly even crows show the ability to symbolize. For instance, if you tell, and this is, I can't remember the name of the crow, but it was a fairly famous crow. If you tell the crow to go pick out the green key, that crow can understand that symbolic message, can understand what green is and what key is, and actually choose a green key from a collection of objects. Chimpanzees can do the same. Of course, they're even more complex. They can actually use language, even to an enormous extent. So it's this ability to symbolize and to produce abstract concepts that has led to the development of the idea of a God and the evolution of that idea. And I do mean evolution. It's mimic. I can't say the word. It's a meme that evolves, but the concept's there. In the earliest humans, when this ability to symbolize abstractly occurred, you can almost imagine that they would see things in the world that they couldn't explain. A lightning bolt, a rainbow. And without being able to explain it, they would create a narrative to explain it. Mythology was born. And because we have an intimate knowledge of a sentient being ourselves, you can expect to see a sentient being being created to explain these things. The Christian God is by no means the oldest God out there. I'm sorry, thevinerhyme, you kind of claim it is, but it isn't. And in the past, many societies had multiple gods for multiple reasons. To explain rain, or to explain the death of people. Later it became monotheistic. One God was used to explain all of it. So we can actually look at evidence of past societies and see this God concept evolving until we have today's God in the Judeo-Christian sense. Of course, it's not the only God. There are still thousands of gods being believed in today. Each of them have their own little different quirks and little different properties. And the Judeo-Christian God has, even his properties have been developed over time. Originally, there's evidence that he was not just one God, but a group of gods. As a matter of fact, Elohim refers to a pantheon of gods. Karen Armstrong mentioned this in a couple of her books. Now, of course, obviously Christians won't agree with me on this, but there's evidence for this. As a matter of fact, even in the book Genesis, the reference to God being plural indicates that even the biblical God originated from a pantheon of gods. And again, I know Christians won't agree with me on this. You can throw out your argument about this if you want. I'm not going to even pay attention to it. Not because I don't want to, but simply because this isn't the argument I'm dealing with here. So, when it comes down to the thevinerhyme's claim, the God of the Bible is a constructed, abstract concept. Just like the pink elephant, which is a unification of concepts of pink and elephant. The God of the Bible is a unification of many other concepts until you have this God. It's also the extrapolation of many ideas. Now you have to ask yourself, why does God have certain human attributes? Because we give it to that God. Why would a God feel anger? Why would a God feel love? Why would a God have any emotion whatsoever? It doesn't have the limbic system or the neurological structures that give us emotion, that are responsible for our emotions. So why would a God have those? Why would a God even need to create? Especially if it's a perfect God without any limits. Now, these concepts of God are constructed from the unknown, narrations of why the unknown is, and from anthropomorphizing it, making it to look more like us, and then extrapolating out to include ideas of infinity, basically omnipotence, omniscience, and so on. So there is a good evolutionary explanation for where God comes from, and there's a good way to explain how God comes from everything else we see today. And it doesn't mean a God exists. Have a good night.